From South Carolina Public Radio, this is Who, What, When, an hour of history, games, and trivia. I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I am Brandon Gray. Election Day is just days from now, so we're celebrating with a special election edition of the show.
You got it, Brandon. Coming up, we're going to see if you can name the famous musicians who tried their hand at running for political office, test your knowledge of the women's suffrage movement, and hear 3 stories about presidential candidates that are hard to believe because only 2 of them are true. Can you guess which one I made up?
If you want to fill out your ballot and be a contestant on Who, What, When, just give us a call at 803-470-6347. Again, that's 803-470-6347. Or if you'd rather, you can send us an email to whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org. You'll have a chance to win a Who, What, When fanny pack, and you can have the title of Who, What, When Champion of the Week.
Bran, are you excited about this Election Day special?
Oh, I'm more excited for this than I am about election season as a whole, and I think most people are that way.
Yeah.
It's a stressful season.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun here. The first game we're going to play is a game called Rock the Vote.
Rock the vote, baby.
Don't rock the vote. It's don't rock the vote, baby. It's fine. The game's called Rock the Vote, and what's going to happen here is this, is we have 2 callers. I'm going to introduce them shortly. They're going to be playing for one of those fanny packs. It's going to get serious.
It's a good one.
Let's go ahead and meet our callers, shall we?
I love it. Again, if you want to be a contestant on Who, What, When, give us a call, 803-470-6347.
Caller number 1, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Stephen Halbert, and I'm from the upstate of South Carolina.
The upstate of South Carolina, close to our neck of the woods, Bran. We finally got a caller from the upstate of South Carolina. Is that exciting?
That's very exciting. We love the upstate.
Yeah. Did you go to school up there, Steve? Are you a transplant?
Well, that's a tricky question. Yes. The answer to both is yes.
Both.
So I was born in California and then moved over here in 2nd grade. So This is home.
We'll call it home.
For a couple of years to go to school down there in Columbia.
Oh, wow. That's
Okay.
familiar. Got to be honest, it didn't seem like that complicated of an answer, but I'll take your word for it. It seemed pretty right on the nose.
That's right.
But that's really awesome.
Steven, are you excited about the fanny pack, Steve?
Oh, I'm excited. I was gonna ask to switch out for the weekend edition lapel pin, but when you found out it was hand stitched,
that's right.
That sealed the deal.
We can't do that.
We
either,
can't do
so the answer would have been no.
switches.
There's no
or
switch-em-ups.
substitutions.
There's no switch-em-ups.
That's right. It's not California dreaming, Steven. Let's
That's
meet our
right.
second caller. Caller number 2. Who are you? Where are you from?
Hi, my name is Katie Grandians, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Ooh,
Atlanta.
How about that? Hot Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta. A Southeast showdown is what we have.
That's
here.
exactly right.
That's
the
right.
Battle of the
Southeast. Yes. You got it. It's okay. He spent a lot of time hand stitching this morning.
Again, the needles, they do hurt.
They do hurt. Yeah.
You get used
You're
to it,
used
but
to
they
the
do
lap
hurt.
balloon. That's exactly right. Katie, are you excited to be playing for that vaunted fanny pack here on Who, What, When?
Oh, I'm thrilled, and I'm really hoping there's some cash inside because I'm going to be going on my honeymoon soon. So.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Wow. So you want us to take money from the South Carolina
donors, so
donors.
you can have fun in Bora
The
Bora.
endowment fund.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Got it.
We'll do that. We'll see what we can do at
You
least.
hear that, donors? It's where your money's going. Katie's honeymoon.
I'm sure it's going to be educational.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
We'll send her a microphone.
Sure. Yeah. There's a whole production crew going with her.
It's going to be great.
So
Perfect.
you guys are here on the Election Day episode of Who, What, When. Our first game's Rock the Vote. These are musicians, rock stars, recording artists who all either A, ran for office, or B, ran for office and won in any sort of election in their home country, city, territory.
Now, I remember very clearly the old MTV campaign, the Rock the Vote.
That's right.
The guys would come on and be like, rock the vote, and it'd be a whole thing.
That's right.
And so that's this, I guess.
This is not that, but
Okay.
it is named the same thing.
I got my wires crossed. Got it.
So there you have it.
I thought Carson Daly was coming in.
Carson Daly is not coming in. We're going to start with Steven. Steven, are you ready for your first question here on Rock the Vote?
Let's do it.
Fantastic. There weren't enough dollar bills, y'all, in the world to get this hip-hop artist elected as the president of his home country, Haiti. In fact, Haiti's election commission ruled that he didn't meet the residency requirements. Also, not speaking fluent French or Creole certainly didn't help. Is it A, Sean Kingston, B, Wyclef Jean, or C, Shaggy?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
This is tough. I've been told I'm not allowed to do my
man.
Shaggy impression.
You can't do that. Somebody call 911 if he does the Shaggy impression.
That's exactly right. Listen, you're way too beautiful,
I'll
girl.
do it with you, Brand.
No, we're not
No,
allowed.
you will not.
This is a really good question, a really interesting question that not only did this person not meet the residency requirement, but also just doesn't speak the language of the country.
But definitely wanted to run for president.
Very interesting.
Stephen, what are you thinking over there?
Man, so I'm struggling here. I'm thinking B sounds like a French name, so we're gonna take B off the table, and Shaggy, it wasn't him. Right? So I'm gonna go with A.
He's going to go with A, Sean Kingston. Somebody call 911. He's incorrect. It is Wyclef Jean. Dollar bills, y'all was the clue there.
Yeah,
There's
that's right.
lyric, which I don't do for all of them,
okay.
but I did for that one because I felt like we'd get off on that start. So, Stephen, I'm sorry, it's incorrect. We're
So the
looking for
French
Wyclef
name
Jean.
was the clue there.
Yeah.
It was the clue there, but
He
you
was like,
chose
"Nah,
you chose to see the clue and
He
say it
thinks-
couldn't be that.
We're here to
and
try
I
to
like
mess
that.
you up. Here on Who What When, we love it when people get them wrong.
That's
We're
exactly
like,
right. That's what we live for.
Okay, Katie, you have a chance to take an early lead here. Are you ready for your first question here on Rock the Vote?
I am.
Here we go. Your question. After the city of Palm Springs wouldn't give him a permit for his restaurant, this half of a world-famous duo decided to run for Palm Springs mayor in 1988. While he didn't win that race, that experience did spawn his successful election to the House of Representatives in 1994. Is it A, Art Garfunkel, B, Sonny Bono, or C, John Oates?
Katie, while you're considering that, I would just want to share. I just recently stumbled upon John Oates' YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's John's house. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. And he invites different artists
To his
into his
house.
house, and they play their songs. And it's actually a lot of fun.
Wow.
So
Shout out to
John
John
Oates.
Shout out.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Hot to handle. Katie, did that somewhat boring story give you some time to think through which one you think it is?
I'm just gonna have to take a wild guess because I was born in '96, so
Well, have you seen John Oates' YouTube channel?
You do know this is on public radio and you're 30 years too young, right?
oh gosh, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna go with A.
A. Art Garfunkel.
Who is one half of what duo, Katie?
Simon and Garfunkel.
So-
There
Okay,
you go.
good,
All
good,
right,
good.
we're
Simon
good.
and
This is the
Garfunkel,
important stuff.
You did know that. You didn't.
I know the artist. I don't know their political career.
Okay, fair enough.
And that is fair. And you're also wrong here on Who What When. We're looking for Sonny Bono. Well, Sonny and Cher. Sonny Bono.
Oh, that's tough.
Sonny Bono was in Congress. Can you believe that?
I cannot believe that, in fact.
Pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff. Do you know anything else about John Oates you'd like to share?
Well, he has so many great. So, like, you're laughing, but Aloe Black came in there. A lot of great artists that came in, they come to John's house. They go to, that's the whole thing.
It's John's house.
It's John's house.
Yeah.
They come to John's house and they play songs, and it's a lot of fun. And it's just on YouTube.
Now it's interesting. It's 0-0 here on Who What When. Got ourselves a real barn burner.
Uh-oh.
Stephen, are you ready for your next question?
I hope so.
Okay, that sounds confident. Your question. A member of this 90s boy band ran for mayor of Cincinnati in the early 2000s. He received 708 votes.
Oh, no.
Afterwards, he blamed Hurricane Katrina for the poor turnout.
So just to be clear here,
In Cincinnati.
This is Cincinnati
That's
that
right.
he's running in, and he blames
That's right.
Hurricane Katrina.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that was...
Is the band he was from A, the Backstreet Boys, B, LFO, or C, 98 Degrees?
Ugh, I have no idea. I'm just going to throw out a wild guess and go with 98 degrees. C.
He's going to throw out a wild guess and go with 98 Degrees. And he is correct.
It is heating up.
Heating up in here. That's Justin Jeffrey.
Oh, Justin
Jeffrey. So not Nick Lachey, if you can believe it. I think Nick would have gotten a few more than 708
You would
votes.
think so.
Justin Jeffrey ran for mayor of Cincinnati, pulled in a whopping 708 votes. Mayor of Greenville, you think you could get to 700 votes?
I think I might be able to get 708 votes running for mayor of Greenville, South Carolina.
I mean, Knox White's a stalwart.
I know.
Okay. All right.
I know.
All right. I mean, I'm not voting for you. I
Knox-
can't throw my vote away like
Knox,
that.
I'm coming for you.
Okay. Great. It's not. It's Justin Jeffrey, 98 Degrees. Stephen, you're right. You're on the board, 1-0.
Excellent.
Katie, it's time to see if you can match him. Are you ready for your next question?
Yep.
Let's rock that vote.
In 1989, this rap group's album, As Nasty as They Wanna Be, was banned in Florida for violating obscenity laws.
It should be.
This spurned the band's frontman, Luke Campbell, to run for mayor of Miami-Dade County, where he received a respectable 11% of the vote. Is that band A, 2 Live Crew, B, 3-6 Mafia, C, 8 Ball and MJG?
Katie, if you had to pick just one of them to listen to, who you going with? 2 Live Crew, 3-6 Mafia, or 8 Ball and MJG?
I don't know. A part of me went, I hope none of these are trick questions because I've never heard of any of
You
those
weren't
bands.
born yet. You weren't born for 7 more
yes.
years. So do your best here.
I'm gonna go with B.
B,
3-6 Mafia.
3-6 Mafia, a great guest, and also a great guest on John's house, from what I understand. John Oates had him on.
You joke. You joke, but it wouldn't surprise me.
But incorrect, Katie, incorrect. We're looking for 2 Live Crew. 2 Live Crew. Luke Campbell winning 11% of the vote in Miami-Dade County. That's pretty good.
It's amazing. That's amazing. It's only a fraction of the viewership that John's house gets, but it's a good amount of people at the very least.
How long do you think we can keep it going?
I think the whole game.
Great. It's still 1-0, and we're back to Stephen, who can take considering how it's gone so far, a commanding 2-0 lead.
Can he do it?
Stephen, are you ready for your next question here on Rock the Vote?
Yes, I am.
Great. The singer of such hits like Nowhere to Run and Dancing in the Street as the front of an incredibly successful Motown group was only the beginning of this woman's journey, which included time in public service on the Detroit City Council. Is that A, Martha Reeves from Martha and the Vandellas, B, Gladys Knight from Gladys Knight and the Pips, or C, Helen Lewis of the Lewis Sisters?
And to help you out, Stephen, we are going to play a short clip of both of those songs. Nowhere to run, dancing in the street. So I don't know if that helps at all.
And they do sound the exact same.
They
but
they do sound like they could be one song, but they're two separate songs.
Is it Martha Reeves, Gladys Knight, or Helen Lewis? Those are one of those women fronted the band that sang both of those songs, and then she was on the Detroit City Council.
Oh, okay. So you're not going to tell me who sang both of those songs because that's what I have to.
That's the answer. Yes.
Very good.
You
Man,
need
I
to
really
tell-
wish I knew my Motown better.
You need to tell me who did it.
Yeah. Can I throw something crazy out there? Could you give me the answer?
Answer says what?
It doesn't hurt to ask, and I appreciate that.
Steve, which one of you? You clearly just guessed one. What do
Martha
you think?
Reeves, Gladys Knight, Helen Lewis.
I'm going to go with Helen Lewis. See,
You're going to go with Helen Lewis, and you're going to be wrong.
My goodness.
And the hits keep on coming here on Who, What, When, where we've got one correct answer. You remember we had a perfect game earlier?
I remember that. That was a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago, we had a perfect game.
Yeah.
Today, we're doing what's the reverse of a perfect game? An imperfect game. Stephen, we were looking for Martha Reeves of Martha and the Vandellas, who served on Detroit's City Council. Amazing. All right, here we go. Katie, your question. Chris Novoselic of this famous 90s band established his own political party in Washington, a state that allows you to establish any political party you'd like without much in the way of members or paperwork. He did this to show why it's actually important to not let people do this. What band was he a part of? Was it A, Soundgarden, B, Nirvana, or C, Pearl Jam? Heavy hitters here, Bran.
They sure are. Heavy hitters of the 90s.
Yeah, before Katie was born.
That's right.
Katie, what are you thinking?
Okay, I at least recognize all of these.
That's good. It's a good start.
I wonder, I've heard rumblings of a steak party before, so I hope that's set up in Washington. I'm going to go with Pearl Jam.
She's going to go with Pearl Jam, and she's unfortunately going to be incorrect. We were looking for Nirvana. Nirvana is who we're looking for. To be fair, though, Katie doesn't know anything about bands that existed before she was alive, and that's fair. So Nirvana's who we were looking for, Bran.
Is Chris Novoselic Kurt Cobain's birth name?
No.
Okay.
No.
It was an honest question.
That's one of the worst moments in Who, What, When history.
Was it?
Yeah. Chris Novoselic.
Why is that a bad question?
Why would I say it? Why would I? No, what?
Because if you said Kurt Cobain, it'd be a dead giveaway.
But
so you said
why
maybe
would
his
Kurt
birthday.
Cobain, unless it's a Kevin Max Smith, Toby situation, why would he change his name?
A lot of people do that, like rock and bands.
No, it's just pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Steven, you're up 1-0. The board is yours. We're playing Rock the Vote here on Who, What, When on South Carolina Public Radio. It's election week. Here we go. They say Lincoln lost almost every election until he became president. If that's the case, then this American Idol alum won't be invisible for long. He's run for Congress numerous times in his home state of North Carolina, but much like his time on American Idol, he's wound up in second place. Is it A, Justin Guarini, B, Ruben Studdard, or C, Clay Aiken? Brand, what are you thinking over there? You big Idol head?
I am a big Idol head.
Yeah.
I do know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited. I'm excited to find out if Steven knows it, though.
Steven, what do you think?
Man, I've only watched 1 or 2 seasons, but some of those names stood out. I don't know the first name, so I'm going to get rid of that. Does that disappoint you, Brandon?
It doesn't disappoint me. I like how you're doing this.
I don't know if you're leading me astray or not. I just can't tell.
That's the game here.
Very
He's
hard.
stitching fanny packs. He's not here to help.
Well, and sometimes he's not the best at these games either, so maybe I should.
That felt unnecessary.
This is a fan. We're talking to a fan here. He's
that
listening.
felt
That's right.
unnecessary at best.
Who's being C again? Ruben Stoddard and Clay Aiken? Is that in that order?
Ruben Studdard is B, Clay Aiken is C.
Man, I'm sitting on the floor so I can think. I'm going to go with B.
Let's find out if sitting on the floor is
He's going to go
helpful.
with B. He's sitting on the floor, and he's wrong. If I was invisible. We're looking for Clay Aiken, who lost American Idol to whom, Bran?
Ruben Studdard.
Ruben Studdard, that's exactly right. Katie, did you happen to know that one?
I did, and I knew it before you even read out the answers.
Was it
That
the
stinks.
invisible clue that gave it away?
Yes.
Of course it was. Unfortunate that you didn't get that one because Steven missed it. It's 1-0, and this first game is almost over. We're pitching a no-hitter. Katie, your last question, and the last question of the segment here on Rock the Vote. Here we go. Inspired by his political hero, Bernie Sanders, a member of this infamous jam band was elected to the city council of his hometown of Lincolnville, Maine in 2017. Is that band A, The Grateful Dead, B, Fish, or C, Led Zeppelin? Brand, I hate a jam band.
Really?
I don't like any of these bands. Any of them.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin is not a jam band.
Yeah. Well, then you're giving away some answers here. What are we doing, guys?
I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you there.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure Led Zeppelin's not a jam band, so.
She knew.
I'm trying. What do you want me to put? Dave Matthews?
Yes,
I'm trying
put Dave Matthews in there.
You want me to
Dave Matthews called and is offended.
I'm hope that people can, like, in the last question, Ruben Studdard won American Idol. You should be able to eliminate him. I'm trying to give you one that you can eliminate. Katie, go ahead whenever you're ready.
I really wish I could phone a friend because I'm sure my uncle, who's a huge Grateful Dead fan, would know, but I'm going to go with Fish.
She's going to go with Fish.
I like that.
And you know what, Bran? It's a tie ball game because Fish is the correct answer.
This is great. This is great.
The drummer of Fish is the member who ran for office. And can you guess his name? John Fishman.
Wow.
John Fishman, drummer of Fish.
It's like they made him in a lab.
He's Fish, man.
Yeah. It's a little too on the nose for me, but it's his name. I don't know. It's his name.
He did serve on the city council of his hometown in Lincolnville, Maine.
And now it's 1-1, and you have that trivia in the back of your mind forever. We wrapped up our first game, Rock the Vote, with our callers, Steven and Katie. And guess what? You two get to stick around. We got another game coming up for you.
You're listening to Who, What, When here on South Carolina Public Radio. I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I'm Brandon Gray. Coming up after this break, we'll continue this election week edition of Who, What, When with questions about women's suffrage.
That's next, right here on Who, What, When.
Welcome back to Who, What, When, South Carolina Public Radio's Hour of History Games and Trivia. I'm Brandon Gray.
And I'm Daniel Thompson. This is a special election week episode of the program. We're just days away from Election Day, Brand. And what better way to celebrate than with some trivia?
I love it, Dano. And if you love it and you want to join us one episode, you can give us a call to 803-470-6347 or send us an email to whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org.
That's exactly right. And we've got this week's contestants from our first game still on the line. Stephen and Katie. It's a Southeast showdown. Stephen from Greenville, Katie from Atlanta.
Best part, Dan, it's a tie game so far, but that could change with our next game. In fact, I hope it does.
That's right, Brand. This game is called Suffrage Against the Machine.
All right, I like that.
Yeah, it's a play on the word suffrage
nice.
and the band Rage Against the Machine.
We're clever. Yeah. That's the early reviews are in, and we're clever. This segment is all about women's suffrage locally, nationally, and international.
That's right, Jason Derulo. We've got some multiple choice questions about women gaining the right to vote around the world. I'm going to start with Stephen. Here's your first question here on Suffrage Against the Machine. Most countries and territories granted women the right to vote between 1893 and 1960, but this nation became the first territory to formally allow women to vote in national elections nationwide. Was it A, England, B, New Zealand, C, China?
Rock the vote.
Was it A, England, B, New Zealand, C, China? Steve, what are you thinking?
All right, so definitely not China. Let's see. Do you have any dates in there? I know the first dates were the span in which most countries did it. Did you say when this one did it?
I did not.
The first one?
I did not say that.
Okay.
So you've narrowed it down to England or New Zealand.
I don't know anything about New Zealand. Let's go with A, England.
England.
He's going with England, and wouldn't you know it, he's wrong. The thing about women's suffrage, Brain, is that a lot of nations and states, even in the United States, had some version of women's suffrage in some states. But universal women's suffrage without a property title attached to it, that is the key there. A lot of nations held off for a long time. New Zealand was our first country. New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's right.
Very good.
So, Stephen, you're still at 1. And now we pivot to Katie from Atlanta. Katie, are you ready to take the lead here on Who, What, When?
I am.
Fantastic. Your question. Vatican City is currently the only place where women's suffrage is still denied to this day and has been since this nation gave women the right to vote in 2015. Is it A, Saudi Arabia, B, South Africa, or C, Iraq? Brand, no thoughts there, huh?
Well, this is a tough game for me to joke through. So I'm going to
sit a few plays out.
Sit a few plays out and say, Katie, what are your thoughts?
Oof. I mean, 2015 is rough. Honestly, I could see all those countries being the answer. I'm going to go with A, Saudi Arabia.
She's going to go with A, Saudi Arabia, and she is going to be correct.
Oh, boy.
Katie from Atlanta has doubled her score and doubled her lead. She's winning 2-1 here on Who, What, When. Wow.
This is very exciting. Stephen, where are you sitting now, bud?
I'm in the chair now.
Oh, things are getting real. Stephen's in the chair. He's down 2-1, the first time he's been down in this game. Here's his next question here on Suffrage Against the Machine. The first state in the United States to grant women the right to vote was initially a territory and only agreed to join the Union if the right of women's suffrage was maintained, which is one reason why this state's motto is still equal rights. Is it A, Wyoming, B, California, C, Idaho?
There's a state whose entire motto is just
Equal rights.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a strong statement.
And if you watch the DNC, when they did their delegate roll call, they said this.
Okay, good
There's
little
a
giveaway there.
Fun little hint there. If you
Stephen,
watch the
thoughts
DNC.
there? Wyoming, California, Idaho.
So, okay, Idaho, I'm going to get rid of. But you said it was a territory, and I could see, you got the Western Territory, you got California, you got Wyoming out there in the West. California, gold rush, equal rights. Now, of course, California kind of...
You want to move to your Ottoman and give it another shot?
I'm going to go with Wyoming.
He's going to go with Wyoming.
Are you sitting down?
Are you sitting down? Because you're right, and you tied the game.
I'm
You're on
standing.
the win.
It's the stand.
Oh, it's
I'm
the
still standing.
standing.
That's right. Wyoming's state motto is equal rights. It's weird that only like 9 people live in Wyoming with that motto.
You would think that everyone
right.
would flood there. It's very interesting. My thought process, if I was playing this game, would be if it was California, I feel like I would have heard about it. I feel like we hear a lot about California.
Yeah.
Where Wyoming, you never hear about it.
I think the thing you do is you throw out Idaho because nobody knows anything about Idaho.
That's right.
And then California seems like the obvious answer.
Right.
But then you're like, well, before
would
they
know
were
that.
progressive, yeah, and then that's how you get to Wyoming, and that's how I wrote the question. But
Very nice.
here we are. It's 2-2. We're talking about women's suffrage here on this election weekend. And now, Katie, it is your turn. The board is yours, and here's your question. Amending the U.S. Constitution to allow women to vote was first introduced in Congress in 1878, where it was rejected. Then it was reintroduced and rejected yearly in Congress for over how many consecutive years? Was it 20 consecutive years, 30 consecutive years, or 40 consecutive years?
We always have so much fun on Who What When. It's so much fun to think about it.
Right? This one, though, is like, wow, the United States really needs to get its act together.
Really
Trying to find a way to have some real history in here.
A
from
really
time to time.
discouraging question with a lot of discouraging answers. 20, 30, or 40 consecutive years
that a bill
of
was
rejection.
introduced in Congress and rejected by all white dudes.
What do you think, Katie?
What was the original year it was introduced?
1878, and then it was reintroduced for how many consecutive years?
She's doing the quick math
I
in
feel
her
like
head.
as a woman, I should know this. 30B.
She's going with 30B. It's actually 40. C. It was, so the bill was passed in 1919. Women could vote in 1920. This bill was introduced in 1878 and then reintroduced 41 straight years before it was voted successfully to be added as an amendment that the states then had to ratify. It took that long, which is just crazy. And it's tough to even wrap your head around.
I think a good rule of thumb here going forward is whatever you think is too many, go more.
Go more than that.
And then you might be correct.
And you'll get all the way to John's house. It's 2-2 here
so many videos.
on Who, What, When. Stephen, you have the board and a chance to retake the lead here on your way to that fanny pack.
I'd stand back up if I were you, buddy.
Your question. This Montana Republican is the first woman ever elected to Congress, doing so 4 years before universal suffrage for women was granted. Wow. Is it A, Susan B. Anthony? Is it B, Jeanette Rankin? Or is it C, Jane Addams?
Wow.
So, yes, some states, particularly out west, allowed suffrage for women before universal suffrage happened.
Right.
So it took the East Coast, like most progressive things, the West adopts it before the East does.
Stephen, this is a tough one.
Three heroes.
Three great answers. Which one sticks out to you as being the potential correct answer?
I'm going to go with B, Jeanette Rankin.
B, Jeanette Rankin. She's the pride of Missoula, Montana, and she's the first congresswoman in United States history. It's Jeanette Rankin.
How about that? We're on a bit of a roll here now for Stephen.
We're on a bit of a roll. It's 2 in a row.
I know.
And he's up 3-2 now. He can taste that fanny pack. He can taste that hand-stitched fanny pack.
I wouldn't.
Katie,
Not this
you
one.
got 2 questions left. You're down by 1. I would suggest getting them both right, but I don't want to tell you how to play the game.
Solid advice.
Thank you, Katie.
You know what's really going to look good is when Stephen wins the suffrage against the machine game. It's going to look really great for us. Katie, could you do us a favor? Could you do us a favor?
I'm doing my best.
All right, I believe in you.
Katie, your question. Victoria Woodhull from the Equal Rights Party in 1872 became the first woman to run for which national office? A, the Senate, B, the House of Representatives, C, President of the United States.
Those are 3
So another thing,
options.
that since while women could not vote in the United States universally until 1920, they could still run for office.
Apparently.
So if you had enough support, you could get elected to office even though you didn't have the right to vote, which is just insane to think about. Victoria Woodhull from the Equal Rights Party.
And this is actually before
Yes.
that was even on the it was the old rejected 40 straight times.
That's right.
This was before that even was
That's right.
a possibility to be rejected.
And another thing about history, that most women's rights advocates abandoned that as a priority to push abolitionism in the early 1800s. So women's rights, there was the Seneca Falls Convention with Elizabeth Cady Stanton. These women were then basically like, we have to get slaves freed, and then we can turn our attention to women's suffrage. And so that's the reason that it was kind of put on the back burner, and slavery.
Well, because you would hate to do two great things at one time.
That's right. Heaven forbid.
It's always best
Heaven
to
forbid
spread
we
those
treat
things
everyone
out.
equally. You know what I mean? Katie, what are you thinking here? Was it Senate, House of Representatives, or President of the United States?
Part of me is thinking that the reason, they kept trying was because they're hoping maybe to have someone in Congress. So I'm thinking it's one of the two Congress positions. I'm going to go with Senate.
She's going to go with Senate. It's actually President of the United States.
Wow.
You know what? Who Wins a fun show. I've had to let people down so much this episode with telling them that they're wrong. And
Yeah.
it's tough. It's been hard. It's President of the United
Great
States.
job.
Thank you, Katie. Those words of affirmation mean so much. Thank you so much for that. I'm sorry that you're wrong. I wish I could make it right for you. All right, Stephen, here's the deal. If you get this question right, it's my understanding that he's won, because it's 4-2, and that's
That's
it.
exactly right.
So-
that would be correct.
Are you ready, Stephen, for the game?
I'm ready. I'm standing up again. That
Standing
seems
up.
to be the
There we
posture,
go.
the correct posture.
It's the only thing that makes sense to me.
In the 1850s, this New York suffragette, Luther Lee, was instrumental in making Antoinette Brown the first woman in U.S. history to A, be an ordained minister, B, hold state congressional office in New York, or C, run for president.
This is a New York clergyman. Is it the obvious? Is it that he helped her become an ordained minister, or is it a trick? I'm not giving you any more clues. I'm just saying, is it a trick? What do you think?
Now I'm going outside and I'm
Oh, man,
standing.
it is getting real.
I do feel like the clergyman thing is just to throw me off. And then I'm going, well, would the Senate be big enough? I think you get a little bit more bang for your buck by going for president. Let's do that, president.
I just want to really
I want to
quickly.
be very clear.
I just want to go back.
The last
That's
question.
what I was going to say.
The first woman to run for president was 1872. This question's in the 1850s, and this guy says run for president.
Sorry, I kind of checked out on the last question.
You don't say, Stephen. If it's not clear, you're incorrect. And just again, and I don't want to be.
No one's going to call in. They're going to think we're going to accost all the callers. Please call into Who What When. It's a fantastic time. Steven's wrong because he checked out when it wasn't his question.
This is a good learning lesson, though. There may be clues for upcoming questions in the past. It's important to pay attention to every question. It's very important.
The answer is be an ordained minister. Be an ordained minister
not tricking.
is what we were
not a
looking
trick.
for. I tried to give it away as
I can't
best
wait.
I could.
I can't wait until his next question when it definitely is a trick.
Yeah.
And he's like, fool me 3
That's right.
times. There's
right.
no way he's tricking.
Katie, it's 3-2. You need this question to tie
This
the
is huge,
game
Katie.
and put the pressure on Steven to win it. Your question, Katie. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was an early hero of the suffrage movement, notably accomplishing all of the following except, so we're looking for the things she didn't do. A, organizing the first National Women's Rights Convention in Seneca Falls, New York. B, drafting a Declaration of Sentiments modeled after the Declaration of Independence, which asked for universal suffrage. Or C, bringing women's suffrage to her home state of New York.
Man, I got to be honest, Dan. This is a tough one because of how, and this isn't a slight. Each of the answers are so wordy. They're wordier than all the other questions.
They're wordier. Katie, what are you thinking?
What was that last one again?
Bringing women's suffrage to her home state of New York.
Right. Well, I'm reaching way back into my A-push days,
Okay.
and so I'm going to go with C.
She's going to go with C, bringing women's suffrage to her home state of New York, and she's going to be correct.
Wow.
Can you
Wow.
believe it?
Amazing.
Here on Who What When, we're still tied.
Dan, I think this is important. I think we were going to do a little tiebreaker here.
Yeah,
We're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
The stakes are very high here. We've given it a lot of thought. We went into our war room. We prayed about it.
We did.
We have a good tiebreaker, I think, Dan.
Yeah, we're going to give one question. Each contestant is going to get to give their answer, and then whoever gets it right gets to move on and get that fanny pack. Okay. So here's the question. Then we'll ask Stephen first, and then we'll ask Katie second.
That's right.
Your last question. In 1861, this self-made man took half of his vast fortune and 200 acres of land to build the first women's college to offer a fully equivalent education to that of the best men's colleges. Is it A, John Wesley, B, Matthew Vassar, or C, John Winthrop?
All right, Katie, put your phone down. Don't listen in. We're going to let Stephen answer first.
Steve, go ahead real quick. Don't talk it through. Just give me an answer.
C, John Winthrop.
C, John Winthrop.
All right.
All right, Katie, A, John Wesley, B, Matthew Vassar, C, John Winthrop. Who do you think it is?
B. Matthew Vassar?
Wow.
It is B, Matthew Vassar. That's unbelievable.
What a comeback.
Oh, my
What
God.
a comeback.
Katie from Atlanta on the last question defeats Stephen from Greenville.
I hate it.
and
He
is
tried it so
moving
many
on
ways, sitting,
to-
standing,
to
laying.
get that fanny pack.
Amazing victory
Congratulations, Katie. Stephen, thanks for playing. No fanny pack this time, but thanks for playing and thanks for moving around all the furniture here on Who What Went.
Thanks for having me, and congratulations, Katie.
You're listening to Who What Wins, South Carolina Public Radio's Hour of History, Games, and Trivia. I'm Brandon Gray, and I am here with my best friend, Daniel Thompson.
Thanks, buddy. This week we're looking ahead to Election Day with games about voting. Coming up, our contestant Katie is moving on to our final round to see if she can take home the title of Who What Win Champion of the Week.
I'm excited that's happening right after this break, right here on Who What Win.
Welcome back to Who What Win here on South Carolina Public Radio. I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I'm Brandon Gray. It is election week here on the show, and it has been such an exciting game so far.
A real barn burner, Bran. Our contestants, Stephen and Katie, were tied there for the first few segments, but then Katie came out on top in the last game.
That's right, and we've tallied those scores. We double-checked those hanging chads. Hey, child. And Katie is heading into our final segment today on the show, all about elections and the voting process. Katie, welcome back to Who What When.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
And Katie, for our last game today, we've got one we play a lot here on the show. It's called History or His Story.
Here's how it's going to work, Katie. Listen up. This is serious stuff. Dan has 3 stories about elections throughout history. 2 of them are the real deal. They really happened. One of them, a real big old faker. Dan made it up entirely. It is his story. That's why we call it History or His Story.
That's right, Brand. The theme for today's game is unbelievable presidential candidates. These are stories of candidates who had some interesting runs for office. And after each story, you're going to have a chance to ask some questions and think through everything as you try to pick out which one of these is my lie. Brand, notoriously terrible at picking out my lie.
I am bad at that. Sometimes I overthink it. If I may, my advice to you would be don't overthink it. Just shoot from the old hip. You know what I mean?
Shoot from the old hip. I love it. So these are all going to be election-themed stories in honor of Election Day. Are we ready to get rolling, Brand?
I'm ready, buddy.
A few fun facts just to help you and maybe the listeners out there establish some Election Day stuff you need to know. First of all, to be a president of the United States, you have to be a natural-born citizen. You have to be 35 years or older.
Right.
And the last 14 years of your life, you have to have resided in the United States of America. To file for president only takes a few $100.
So what's your excuse? Why haven't you run yet?
That's a good question. The haters are talking.
I know.
The haters are starting to hate.
Man,
That's
it's
right.
crazy out there.
Yeah. You need 5,000 signatures in a state to get your name on the ballot in that state. And you have to primary within your political party, even if it's not a major political party. So all those things are important to know. All right. The first story, told in chronological order, the first story is Homer Tomlinson thinks taxation is of the devil. So this story kicks off where all good stories kick off, which is in the 1800s.
Yes,
You know how that
I'm
works.
listening.
There was a group of people, and there still are, quite frankly, that wanted a theocracy as government, which is not a democracy where the people rule, but there is religion that rules the country. While the United States was expressly built to give everyone the freedom to worship however you want to worship, there have always been those that wanted to turn our nation into a theocracy. Let me introduce you to the United Christian Party. This party started in the late 1890s in Iowa. They became the Christian Patriots in 1912. And while this party never gained a footing across the country, that didn't stop one Homer Tomlinson. He was an American bishop in the Church of God of Prophecy, which is the denomination in the Pentecostal Holiness Christian Church.
You don't say.
That was founded by his father, Homer's dad.
I thought Homer was the dad, and then Bart was the son.
That's different.
Got it.
That's the Simpson Pentecostal church. So he was upset when the
prophecy.
church determined that his younger brother was chosen to be the successor to his father in the Pentecostal Holiness Church. He felt left out, so he starts the Church of God of Prophecy. In 1952, he founds the Theocratic Party.
I've always said that the best church denominations spring from feeling slighted by your father. That's when it's always the best outcome.
Historically, that has always led to good things and people getting a fair shot.
exactly
That has
right.
definitely happened. So he founds the Theocratic Party and he runs for president of the United States. He's unsuccessful at getting on the ballot outside of Indiana, and he did receive under 200 votes. He runs for president again 5 times in a row through 1968. His platform to get rid of taxation and replace it with tithing to the government, which would be affiliated with the church. New cabinet would include a secretary of righteousness and a secretary of the Holy Bible. And after losing in his first 3 attempts, he elected himself king of the world, as well as king of all nations of men.
Wow.
And those 2 titles didn't help him at all as he lost the election again in 1964. Homer Tomlinson never won and was never really thought about until this podcast. That is the end of story number 1. Bran, what do you think?
Well, it sounds like honestly a heartbreaking story between father and son. And did they ever make up? Do you know?
They did. He was told by a voice to build a baseball field.
Okay.
And then his dad came back from the grave in a White Sox uniform, and they had a catch with
Listen,
Bibles.
As long as nobody choked on a hot dog, I think that story is a wonderful outcome.
Great. Katie, what do you think?
I mean, it's certainly quite a story. How many votes did you say he got again?
The first time he ran, he got under 200 votes, and the attempts that followed, he barely gained any more traction than that.
Going from running for president to just going ahead and declaring yourself king of the world is
Yeah, this is pre-Titanic
step.
too. You just can't throw that out there.
He couldn't wait to be king. So it's tough.
He was going to be a mighty king.
Yeah.
That's true.
Enemies, beware.
That's right.
Man, that's an amazing story.
That's quite a story.
I
That's
hope
right.
it's true.
Are
I
we
hope
ready?
it's true.
Are we ready for story number 2?
I'm ready.
I love it. Story number 2, Ben Beeman wants your vote and your livestock. And your livestock. Story number 2 starts right now. The American Agricultural Movement was an organization started in 1977 by small American farmers that protested low prices and lack of government help in their farming. They marched on Washington, D.C. each year. They actually got tractors to Washington, D.C. and would roll down Pennsylvania Avenue to protest farming and the farmers' plight.
Typical day in D.C.
And, in the 1700s, farmers represented 97% of Americans. And by the time we get to 1977, 200 years later, they represent a small fraction of American citizens. And so fewer and fewer people cared about the plight of the small farmer. That's why this organization, the American Agricultural Movement, started and existed to protest any government regulation that didn't help the farmer. Let me introduce you to Ben Beeman. He's a farmer from Oklahoma, one of the leaders of the American Agricultural Movement. Ben Beeman announced in 1982 he was running for president of the United States under the banner of the once deceased Populist Party. The Populist Party started in the 1800s that represented farmers in the Midwest. Beeman's platform was really, really simple. Higher government prices for farmers, more subsidies for farmers, and a livestock donation by non-farmers. Record scratch on the last one.
Yeah, what's that last one mean?
Yeah, so the first 2 make sense. We're going to help
course.
farmers stay afloat. We're going to pay them to farm.
Of course.
The third one was every U.S. tax-paying citizen that was not a farmer or living on a farm would have to, on top of his or her top tax rate, provide the total amount of, or the animal itself, of a farm animal relative to his or her tax bracket. So what that would mean is because farmers were raising these animals, people that weren't on the farm would either have to say, I'm donating an actual cow or chicken to a farmer in need. The government would take them and redistribute them. Or obviously, if you're in the city, I can't get my hands on a cow. I have to pay the money that a cow would cost, give it to the government, and that is how the government would afford these subsidies for the working farmer. The brackets for the taxes were determined by an animal. So every tax bracket had an animal. So the brackets were as low as chicken, working through goat, sheep, and finally cattle.
Sure.
So based upon your tax bracket, that would determine what animal you would have to either give. So maybe you were in the lowest tax bracket and you're like, I got to get my hands on a live chicken. Or you could just pay the price of a chicken, which is not that much money. Exactly. The money or the livestock would be collected and distributed to tax-paying farmers around the country. Beeman made the ballot in Oklahoma, received 966 votes, but his policies obviously for the 1900s were considered pretty extreme, pretty crazy. He didn't go any further than that. He never ran again. That is the end of story number 2.
I love this story. I want to start by saying that. I have 2 questions that might be helpful. If let's say I was very rich and I owed a cow, but I actually did have a slew of chickens. Could I give the cow?
Is there a ratio?
That's exactly right.
Is
like
there a
10 chickens.
50? It would be like 50 at least.
Yeah.
I mean, like
let's
a cow.
say
This is a cow here.
Okay.
We're talking about.
Can I just give you 50 chickens instead of the cow or the financial?
I think you could. I think that's in. I don't know if he had thought Ben Beeman had thought that far into his policy. I think it was a monetary equivalent, but I don't think it was an animal to animal equivalent. You know, and it's like then you get into tax deductions. It's like, all right, well, I'll give you 10 ribeye. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know how that works, but in his mind, making sure farmers succeeded and continued to thrive included the government being a huge part of that, which FDR tried in the New Deal 50 years before Ben Beeman even tried to become president.
And then did he have a plan for if anybody actually did decide to go the route of turning in actual animals?
District. So like,
they would go to district farms.
That's right. Well, it'd be district government. Like they would have to take in these animals and then distribute them to farmers in need.
Did he have a plan for how to figure out?
I think a basic one.
Okay.
I mean, like Herman Cain's 999. You know what I mean? Like it's a very basic idea.
Yeah.
I don't think he got. I mean, I think if he had gotten any traction, it would have gone more than that.
The context of it.
Katie, what are you thinking over there?
It's a wild story that they wanted the government to subsidize to that level. I don't know. Definitely gives me pause, but at the same time, king of the world.
I'm king of the world. Okay.
So definitely interested to see what the third story is.
Yeah, this story is definitely it's so crazy, but like farmers notoriously like look out for their own. Like they really care about making sure that other farmers, their fellow farmer, are well equipped, because without farmers, you know, there's a lot that we lose. And so even though this is so crazy, there is a part of me that's like, this could happen because there is a farmer that maybe would be like, let's really go for it. So this is our chance. This is our moment. Let's farm.
Yeah, but also it's become this thing where farmers exist in very different universes within the history of the United States.
Sure.
Where they used to just be everywhere. And then it's like now big farms have kind of taken over. The small farmer is hard to find.
You always hear about big pharma. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Big pharma is ruining everything.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We're out of control.
Definitely going to make
We definitely need more restrictions on big
pharma. Are we ready? Are we ready to move to story number 3?
I'm ready.
Not going to top big pharma. All right, story number 3 starts right now. It's called Vermin Supreme Wants to Ride His Pony Straight to the White House.
All right.
Let me introduce you to Vermin Love Supreme. That is his real name. He changed his name when he became active in political stuff, political activism.
He changed his name to that?
To that. We have no record of his name before that. We don't know. I'm sure someone does. We don't know his name that he was given at birth. It was not Vermin Love Supreme.
I don't want to know it.
But Vermin Love Supreme is his name now, and he resides just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, far away from Big Pharma. He has run for president every year since 2004 to the present day. He has run as an independent, a Republican, a Democrat, and currently as a libertarian. He is anti-state, anti-war, anti-authority. He believes in, and I quote, anarchism with responsibility, which is my favorite part of this whole story. He received as little as 149 votes in the D.C. primary in 2004 and 41 votes in the New Hampshire primary when he ran against Clinton and Obama. He announced a new political party in 2012 called the Free Pony Party, where everyone gets a pony. That's the entire party. His running mate would be, for the Free Pony Party, would be Jimmy McMillan, founder and presidential candidate from the Rent is Too Damn High Party.
Yes.
So they joined forces to form the Free Pony Party.
What a dynamic duo.
Vermin is known for wearing a boot on his head and carrying a giant toothbrush with him at all times. Same. That's right. The Free Pony platform promises a few things. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
They're promised to make it a law that everyone has to brush their teeth. Okay, which is weird for anarchism with responsibility. How are you going to enforce that? I don't know. He promises to devote research to funding time travel.
Okay.
I'm not mad at this.
This isn't a bad idea. I feel like we're close.
Yeah, Reagan did a whole thing where he was like, we're going to have lasers in space, and it costs us billions of dollars. We can't fund time travel research.
We're close.
And the reason he says he wants to do that is so he can go back in time and kill Hitler.
It's a noble
yeah,
goal.
That's right. This is integrity at its finest at the Free Pony Party. He promises free, government-funded, I don't know how with anarchism, zombie apocalypse training awareness. So you're going to be prepped. You're going to have a pony. They're going to be working on time travel. Your teeth are going to shine, and you're going to be ready for a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
And then also every family, I don't know how it breaks down here, gets a free pony. Once again, with anarchism, I don't know how the government's going to fund that, but
Are there even enough ponies?
Yes, this guy has. We'll make them. I mean,
We'll make them.
The pony farm's going to be bumping.
We'll go back in time and make sure that
That's right. There's enough ponies for everybody.
We got to be prepared.
After filing official paperwork for the New Hampshire presidential primary ballot, he said, and I quote, "Together, my friends, we will ride our ponies into a zombie-powered future." That is Vermin Love Supreme, and that is the end of story number 3.
I think my biggest question is, in the words of Kevin McAllister, is this a joke? Is this serious or is this a joke?
Vermin Love Supreme exists and really does run for president, and he says he does it as a satire on the political process.
Okay.
But is it a joke? No, he is a real candidate that exists on real ballots and in real primaries in the states where he has made the ballot. That is not a joke.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair
He
enough.
sounds awesome.
Katie, what do you think?
I definitely feel like I have memories of like SNL having someone with a boot on their head. Like this definitely sounds familiar enough that while I don't know all the details, I almost feel like this one's almost too wild to be made up.
Got it.
What?
Yeah, what indeed. Free ponies for everybody.
Free ponies for everybody. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I honestly, my biggest question is that even possible? If he did win, would he be able to deliver on the pony?
I mean,
I don't
our
know. That's a
candidates
lot
don't
of
deliver now.
I know. It's just, it's a lot of ponies. Mm-hmm. But you know, how many politicians are making promises that are going to disappoint little girls around the country? If these little girls are promised ponies.
And is it the like taxes where the children don't actually get the tax?
That's a great point.
You know,
they don't get the pony.
The adults get ponies, the kids don't.
Yeah.
Now we got a big problem on our hands.
Yeah, that's a mess. That's
All
a
right,
mess.
Here we are. It's the final round of Who What When here on South Carolina Public Radio. We've been talking Election Day all episode. I've got Katie here from Atlanta. We got 3 stories about elections. We've got Homer Tomlinson thinks taxation is of the devil. Ben Beeman wants your vote and your livestock. Or Vermin Supreme wants to ride his pony straight to the White House. Katie, you've thought it through. You've talked it out. Which story is my story?
I think that 1 and 3 are so wild that they have to be true. So I'm going to go with number 2.
She's going to go with Ben Beeman wants to vote. The least wild story to Katie is we're going to make you turn in a cow.
Yeah.
Brandon, do you like that choice?
I don't like that choice, Katie. I think I would have said that number 1 is the made-up story, but for the same reason. I found number 1 to be the least outrageous, although I understand someone saying, I'm going to be the king of the world, is definitely a lot. But the livestock, there's a lot of stuff going on there with the livestock stuff. So I could see either one or two being the made-up one. There's no way Dan would have the goal to create number 3. I don't think it's possible. Possible.
Brand's going with 1. Katie's going with 2. Let's get 3 out of the way. Vermin Love Supreme, real person, really does all that stuff. Shout out Vermin.
Shout out.
For being the right kind of crazy. Let's move on to story number 1. Homer Tomlinson, the Theocratic Party. He wanted to get rid of taxes and replace them with tithing to the government. That story is also true.
No!
That's true, which means that my story number 2, Ben Beeman wants your vote in your livestock.
Katie,
That
you did
is
it.
my story. It is a lie. And that means Katie from Atlanta, you've won Who What Win in the Who What Win Fanny Pack.
Amazing.
Katie, congratulations. Thanks for playing. Thanks for winning a fanny pack here on Who What Win on South Carolina Public Radio.
Thanks for having me.
And that'll do it for this special Election Day episode of Who What Win. Thank you so much to our contestants, Stephen and Katie, for playing with us today. And congratulations again on winning that fanny pack. Katie, you did it.
Our producer is A.T. Shire. Our executive producer is Sean Birch, who just wants to remind everyone to get out and vote this week. This show is a production of South Carolina Public Radio and made possible in part by listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina.
If you want to be a contestant on Who What Win, you got to give us a call. 803-470-6347. That's 803-470-6347. And you can also email us whowhatwin@scpublicradio.org.
And you can find out more about the show and listen to this episode again at our website, southcarolinapublicradio.org/whowhatwin.
Don't forget that you can also subscribe to Who What Win wherever you listen to podcasts, or listen through your smart speaker by asking it to play Who What Win.
I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I'm Brandon Gray. Join us next week for more history, games, and trivia right here on Who What Win.